I'm going to tell you a few company names, and I want you to think about what these companies mean to you. Sears, Toys R Us, Radio Shack, Borders, Blockbuster Video. Now, all these companies probably had a huge part in your growing up or childhood, or maybe you're a little bit younger and you didn't know some of these companies, but these were major companies that were innovative back in the day. But they all have one major problem: their failure to keep up with technology. The easiest one to point out was Blockbuster. Blockbuster had many times to basically outbid or buy out Netflix. They had the abilities to go online streaming, but they refused to adapt and overcome. They just wanted to stay the same thing. Sears, same thing. Thought that it'd be better to sell retail instead of going online. Same thing at Radio Shack. Radio Shack was a kind of a technology company back in the day, selling all the cutting edge toys, but for some reason, they decided not to go online. Now, they were purchased by another influencer and were put up online, but I think all that fell short and now it's all going downhill, and I think they're filing bankruptcy for the second time. But this is the reason I wanted to make this video, is a lot of people have the famous saying, adapt to overcome, and that's what most dealerships suffer from. One thing about the automotive industry is it's very based in its roots, and it's very hard to change anybody's outcome. Now, unfortunately, our industry is driven largely by ego and ignorance. So just keep that in mind as we start to go through some of these things that we're going to talk about. Now, most dealers are stuck in the two ways of advertising, which is basically radio and TV, which is their media, and then there are other ones, which is like magazines and actual billboards. Now, whether it was 1905 or 2025, people are still going to be doing the same things that they want to do because that's what they believe and that's what they're told that works. Now, I started advertising on social media back in 2014, 2015. I know for a fact I was the first dealer in Las Vegas or in Nevada that actually advertised their dealership on Facebook. Well, as I started to do more and more ads, I was invited to talk at some dealer group events. I went to one here in Las Vegas, which was a big dealer convention, and then I went to another one in Houston, Texas. And they brought me up on stage to talk about the importance of social media when it comes to actual getting consumers and getting people into your dealership. Now, this was at a time where trying to tell dealers to get on autotrader.com, cars.com, all these other ones, there's a few more that died since then, was very important. You wanted to get your eyeballs in front of the audience, which was online, because people have a new tool to search. They weren't using the phone books. They weren't going to the grocery store buying up the paper pamphlets. So even back then, they had experts from, like I said, AutoTrader and Cars.com explaining on how crucial it was for them to get online. And there was a lot of times where some of these dealerships didn't even have internet or didn't even have a website, believe it or not, which was absolutely hilarious. So trying to go out there and tell these people that the social media market is key to the 2015 era of marketing was hilarious. I was met with a large amount of scrutiny. People did not believe me on where the eyes were at. So during my talk at the convention, there was a 15-minute break. I made sure to go off stage, walk around, and videotape everybody to see what they were doing, because I knew exactly this was going to hit my point home. So once the break ended, I got back up on stage and I told them if they can play this video that was on my phone. We had to email it back then. There was no plugins. It was a pain in the butt. But anyways, I was able to send it to the audio engineer and they were able to put it on the big screen. And it showed me basically filming everybody. As soon as we said break, everybody pulled out their phone. People were either checking Facebook, they were checking other social medias, they were checking their emails, Twitter, whatever else. And that basically led to my next point. The future of eyeballs is going to be on your cell phone. Everybody's going to be so glued to your cell phone that there's no way you can possibly get away from it. Now, the reason why I came up with this idea was, you're going to laugh, this was actually when I went on dates with girls here in Las Vegas. I actually went on multiple dates with multiple girls, and they all had one thing in common. The second we sat down, they had this instinct to just grab their phone, pick it up, and start looking at it. I would go to lunch with my friends. As soon as we stopped eating or we were talking, if there was any type of moment of silence, their ADHD kicked in, and they picked up their phone and they started scrolling. And that's when I knew I had to get my dealership and my cars in front of everybody on their phones. And most people I saw were absolutely addicted to social media. Now, back in the day, iPhones were really cool. They would tell you on how much time you spent on apps. Now you have to set it up and it's a pain in the butt. But I used to love checking people's phones, and it would say like 80% of their time was spent on social media, whatever, these X amount of apps, which really blew my mind. So I knew I had to get myself in front of these dealers. Now, fast forward to 2023, I am still talking today about why dealers need a social media page. They need a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter, TikTok, all this other stuff, and they still refuse to catch up to the times. Now, dealers always pay thousands of dollars every month to collect data. They want to go off information from their customers. They want to go off information from the market. So I watch some of these bullshit companies that are spending millions of dollars marketing to these dealers, telling them they need these analytics to find out what's really going on. When all reality, all they need is social media to tell them what they're doing wrong. Now, when I went out and did some of this training during the pandemic, I went to several franchise dealerships across the United States to do sales training and to set them up with their online social media. And a lot of them were really skeptic about putting them up there because they said they didn't want to start a Facebook page or they didn't want to start Instagram or Twitter because they were so worried that they were going to get so much negative attention. And I was like, well, why are you worried about that? I go, unless you're taking care of your customers, which you should be, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. But that just let me know the mindset of every dealer is they're so worried about the negative press hitting them that it's pretty much going to screw them. Now, I told them this. You can make the page and you can create your own destiny. You can control it and see what people are coming in, why they're leaving negative reviews, and you can reply to them and say, I'm so sorry, can we earn your business? Can I give you a discount? Would you like to come in for something? Whatever. Just do something to make it right. But a lot of these people found out the hard way. They didn't create any type of pages. There was Google pages, there's Facebook pages, all against these particular dealers. Hundreds of negative reviews that they had no idea they even seen. And most of these dealers had no idea that all these consumers were talking trash behind their backs, where they could have made this, could have controlled the narrative, and actually helped their consumers and work something out. Now, the reason why this is the death of dealerships and why the future of dealerships is going to look gloom is because dealers don't want to get the negative information from the people. Now, anybody that's bought a car from me, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to leave a positive review. There are going to be a handful of people that are negative or salty or feel like they got ripped off. That's just part of the business. But I told them the real reviews I want are the people that didn't buy from me. And I told them those are the most important reviews because they were so pissed off. You're either rude to them, maybe you overcharged them, maybe they had bad credit, who knows? But we need that data. That data is very important. Everybody thinks that, we got to capture the customer while they're in there so they can leave a positive review. You're not going to learn and grow as a dealership or as a business or as a company unless you actually have some sort of information like that. Now, the reason why social media is so important is because whenever I'm looking to purchase something, I don't care whether it's a tennis shoe, camping gear, even gear for my YouTube studio, I do tons of research. I look online. I look at customer reviews. I even go to YouTube to watch videos. So we need to capture all those demographics to put out a very educated consumer's thoughts to rest. So the customer may be thinking, well, I don't know if this particular, Ford Mustang is good for me. If you have positive reviews on your website, you have a Instagram and Facebook page and Twitter page constantly putting out videos and information and questions, and your ratings are good, customers can look at that. Look at the videos, see what you're doing. Go to YouTube, see your YouTube channel, watch the videos they see. And sometimes this is when I talk about building a relationship. When you are a person on YouTube, just like myself, and you're telling people about, let's say, a particular product, hey, this is the brand new Ford Mustang. It's a great car. These are the features it has. If you're looking for this is the car for you. It's only got, seating for 4. So if you have tall kids in the back, it's probably not going to work. If you need seating for 5, this may not be the car for you. Just little simple things like that. They want to hear that from a person. And also, whoever's on the video has a very strong chance of closing them when they get there because they already built some sort of rapport. So that's why I tell people to constantly be having their salespeople post videos every single day, not only to their own social media, but you take that and put it on your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, your YouTube, and post it every single day. Now, as people search on Google, you got to remember, YouTube is also a part of Google. And when you search on there, a lot of times they give videos more priority. And you never know that your video on a I don't know, 2005 Ford F-150 may be the most popular trending video that week, which pops up. So if anybody's looking for a Ford truck and your truck happens to pop up, they like your salesman's character, they like his personality, they may go there. They'll look and see you on other social media things and see that, okay, this guy's very active. And like I said, a lot of times you can control the narrative when it comes to your customers. So if they're having a lot of problems, you can be proactive and reach out to them in the comment section. I can't tell you how many times I reached out to an angry customer that left a negative review, and a lot of times it wasn't anything major. I had one customer's upset, his window stopped working after I sold him the car. To him, I was like, I tell you what, if I fix your window, can you do me a favor? Can you leave a positive review telling me I took care of you? Customer said yes, no problem. We brought him in, we fixed his car. Another customer, unfortunately, their fuel level stopped working. They filled up the car, they thought it was full, they ran out of gas in the middle of the street. It sucks. Unfortunately, dealers, we don't have a crystal ball. So I try to help out customers as much as I did. Had them come in, we fixed the float, they were good to go. But unless dealers actually care about their true analytics, not just bullshit sales analytics, they're going to be doomed from the get-go. Now, the reason why I think most dealerships are going to fail is because one of the things that dealerships really prided themselves on was building a relationship with the consumer. It was very important for me as a dealer or as a salesperson to earn your trust to sell you a car. And my goal is, after I sell you a car, maybe I sell a car to your spouse, maybe I sell a car to your kids, your grandfather, your coworker. You know, hey, Lucky's a great guy, he took care of me, you should go check him out, here's his number and here's his information. That's how we typically did business. There was a guy, I'll never forget, his name was Bruce. Shout out to Bruce. Hopefully you're still around, but if not, rest in peace. I learned a lot from this guy. This guy was selling Buicks back in the 60s and 70s, all the way up till today. And, you know, he was really amazing. He knew every customer's name, birth date, spouse's birth date, sometimes even their favorite pet's name. He had a Rolodex, and I don't know if you guys have seen the old school Rolodexes that spin around. He had one that was cards, he had 3 of these, and then he had one of the large floppy ones that would spin around. And he would put down your name, your address, everything else. He would call you once a year. He would send you Christmas cards. He would send you birthday cards. He would do all this stuff, and he constantly kept in people. Now, some of the people only bought one car from him. Other people bought maybe all their cars from them. But the fact that he was a true professional salesman, he took his time to make everybody feel special, feel unique, remembered your birthday. And even when people said, you know, I don't need your birthday cards, I'm not buying any other cars, I'm happy with my car, or I just bought it from somewhere else, he didn't care. He was like, well, I'm glad, I'm happy, wish you and your family the best. And he was still sending Christmas cards and birthday cards. To him, it didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I'll tell you one thing that Bruce had, was loyalty. He had so many customers. When I met him, he used to come into this Nissan dealership for 2 hours a day. And he'd have no more than maybe 3 or 4 customers waiting for him. He would sit down, they would pick out the cars, he would have one of the green peas, show the people around. Green pea is a new sales guy. Show them the cars, walk the lot. Once the customers picked the 2 cars, they come back to Bruce. Bruce would just do the paperwork, send it in, shake the people's hands, fill out his little Rolodex card, and send them on their way. And I remember talking to him, asking him a bunch of questions, and he was a wealth of information and knowledge. But one thing I took away from him was he wanted to build that relationship because he believed in, you know, not just selling you one car, he wanted to sell you and your family cars for the rest of your days. Fast forward to today, none of these dealer groups or dealerships even give a rat's ass about any of us. All they care about is how much can I really pound out of this guy. Now, when you hear us sales guys or you hear dealerships saying they made a 3-pounder, 5-pounder, 8-pounder, 10-pounder, that means they made 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to $10,000 off of you. So anytime you hear this, when you walk through a dealership, now you know what we're talking about. Now, unfortunately, that's just the way it is now. There are some dealerships that are still mom and pops dealerships that care about customers and building the relationships and things like that. But unfortunately, a lot of these ones are being gobbled up by these big dealer groups. Sonic Auto Group, Auto Nation, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of them. And little by little, these small independent franchise stores that were, in your community, Bob Smith's, whatever, Ford, been there for 70 years, they're being bought up by these companies, and there's no longer those ties to your local community. They don't care if you and your mom and your dad and your sister and your cousin, your grandparents, and even your kids buy a car from him. All he cares about is how much can they screw you for one particular car at one point in time. Now, I made several videos about how dealerships robbed their future for the next 2 years when it came to sales because they spent so much money, They spent so much time raping their customers by selling cars way over MSRP, not getting the down payments they needed. And so now most typical Americans are buying cars every 2 to 3 years. They're not going to be able to do that because they're so upside down in their cars. So what are they going to do in 2 to 3 years from now? They're already feeling the pain because they're expecting 2020 buyers to come in and trade in their cars, but they can't. They are trying, but they're so upside down in these cars because they paid $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 over MSRP, and a lot of these banks wind up financing all of that. They can't come into the dealership and trade them off. And so now all of a sudden, dealerships are worried about that relationship. They got to have relationships with the consumers. And I'm going to tell you this right now. All those dealerships that didn't give a shit about helping customers, building rapport, and worrying about their reviews are the ones that are going to be shut down or out of business. Because you got to remember, a lot of these manufacturers are upset because they get hundreds of complaints every day, every week, every hour, via email, texts, letters, all kinds of crazy stuff sent to them because people are so upset because they can't buy a car because they want $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over MSRP. I promise you, these manufacturers like Ford, Chevy, Honda, Toyota are going to start looking at the reviews of their store, and I promise you some of their factory reps are already looking at them. If they see a lot of people selling cars way over MSRP, they're not going to get the allocations they want. Now, every franchise store and every dealer watching this video is going to swear up and down that they care about the customer's opinion. And I know it's hard because there are some asshole customers out there. We all know this, just like asshole dealers. But if you have social media, you can actually cater to people a little bit. You could talk to the general public and start using technology on your side to help further your sales, help develop your personality as a dealership, help develop your brand. That's the key thing I want to put through on this video, is your brand and your name means everything, especially on social media. But if you're too afraid to get on there and do Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and everything else, somebody else is going to be on there and they're going to be talking trash about you. Now, I've actually gotten calls from dealers wanting me to basically arbitrage the other dealer, go in there and just talk a bunch of trash, give them bad reviews. We don't do that. I highly recommend don't ever do that. Don't ever salespeople talk trash about the other store. There are people out there that are going to do that. So if you don't have the intelligence or the forthwith to actually go out and build a social media presence, that's what's going to happen to you. These guys are going to get online, either somebody else's sales staff or one of your customers that's upset is going to go to town and just talk nothing but trash about you. So there's tons of these sites. You can look them up. It's like don't buy from Bob Smith's Ford or whatever it is. Google your local area. And I promise you will see, if not tens of hundreds of reviews of people just talking shit about whatever particular dealership. And this is something that dealers have no idea about. And like I said, most dealers are so afraid of using technology to help them. Yes, social media is the future. Internet is the future. A lot of these guys stop advertising in magazines, stop doing this stuff. Even like car gurus. Like I said, you're paying somebody to tell you you're overpriced. Stop. Do something different. Build a social media presence. Have an actual, your fingers on the pulse of your local economy and your local customers, because that matters more than anything. Having these assholes and some of these contractors come in, and I know some of you guys, I won't mention names, come in there and tell you how to make your dealership better, how to sell more cars. Those guys are idiots. They're going to charge you $50,000. You're not going to sell maybe more than 10 cars in that 1 month, and then everything's going to be gone. The stuff that I'm telling you now will set you up for years to come if you build it correctly. Now, if you have any questions about that, message me down in the comment section below or hit me up on my email at Lucky Lopez. We do dealership consulting. I'll fly to you, or if you guys want to come here, we do a Zoom call. I can show you how to do that. So this way, hopefully in the future, if you're dealing with your customers correctly, you're giving out great deals, people will hear about it. Also, if you're a good dealer, this is also something else. I have people put in the comment section all the time, good dealers and bad dealers. There's a lot of dealers that I've seen where people say, hey, this is a good dealer. They're selling at MSRP. They help me out, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's going to know that unless you're on social media. So the more you post, it's a snowball. It gets bigger. Just like my channel. When I posted 2-3 videos, nobody gave a shit. I had maybe 10 views. But now that I post videos every single week and I've been doing it for 2 to 3 years, now I have thousands of people that come and watch these videos because it's something they can rely on, something they can trust. So as long as you're honest with your customers, honest with your pricing, no fucking bullshit lying and hiding prices, or this is the price, but then here's the extra fees. Don't do that shit. Make a video about how you're not going to do that. How you're going to be different by other dealers. You're going to help the consumer. You're going to help regular people. You want to build a relationship. Tell them that in your social media and make them believe it. And I promise you, if you do the right things and you show it on social media, good things will happen to you in your business. But anyways, that's enough for today's rant. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any information, please put it in the comment section below. Tell us all about the good dealers in your area, the bad dealers. Also, if your opinion is different from mine, that's okay. We can still be friends, but your opinion matters. So make sure you put it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And once again, follow us on Instagram at Lucky Lopez, and we'll see you next time.